Mature GNT show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. These are the voyages of the GNT show. Our continuing mission to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to Boliga, where no show has gone before. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the G&T Show, episode 284. I'm Terry Lynn, and across the table is the man and the mystery, and God knows, God's gift, Gettysburg 7.
You know, you could have cut everything else down and just said God's gift. It's that simple. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of fighting with my computer. Okay, picture Miles trying to work on Deep Space Nine with the voles running around, and that's me and my computer right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And there he is across from us after a late night of helping me with said computer, Ceridium.
Kapla! Busy little beaver tech support. How may I help you?
Yeah, he texts that to me. And then we get done and he's like, would you like to take a survey? If so, press 1. I'm like, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to cut his throat.
True story.
Good morning. So is that kind of what we can say you've been doing this week, Nick?
What did you do this week? Coffee clutch.
One of a few things, actually. I'm no longer working from home.
Okay, yeah.
Yay.
And?
I'm back in the office, and that's nice. See, I get that.
Yeah, you're back in a new area, too. I think that's great. You seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, they're really, I'm in a different building now, and I'm down where, like, all the HVAC guys are and sheet metal guys and stuff. The blue-collar guys.
Cool.
And, just real great people. Very welcoming, so that's very cool. But Tuesday, I went to log on to play our little game with the cushy. And why is all this shit popping up on my camera? Oh my god. My computer didn't want to work. It would boot up and then shut off, and then boot up and then shut off, and then boot up,
hell no.
and then shut off. So my lovely wife was very kind and allowed me to use her computer while we played the adventure there.
Yeah.
And boy, you've never met a more suspicious Starfleet crew in your life.
Ever. Seriously, we all were like, what the fuck, dude? You're acting all weird and shit.
We went in there like the Scooby Squad. But so while I was at work, my wife took my computer in, and yeah, now my computer's from 2009. So
yeah.
She's kind of old, and so what had to happen is, Mike, you said it's the hard drive, right?
Yes, that was a hard drive.
He had to back up everything from the hard drive and install a new hard drive and reload everything.
Wow.
$125. That was all.
That's not bad.
No. And he said that I won't need a computer for a while because it's basically redone, you know?
As
Good. Congrats.
long as the rest of the hardware holds up, an 8-year-old computer, you always have to be wary, but laptops are more durable than desktops, so you're
and I'm not moving it. And I'm not moving it around anymore. You know? It used to go with me. You guys know it went with me everywhere I went in the Army and to the conventions and everything. But I'm not. It's sat on my desk for a year. I haven't moved it. So
it should do you well for a while.
But so I plugged it back in last night and to get everything fired up and for the morning and. Realized that I had to reload TeamSpeak, and then we were having issues. For some reason, my push-to-talk is not working. So I'm going with continuous stream, and I'm just going to mute my headphones when I'm not talking. I mean, that's an easy workaround, but it just bothers me that it's not for some reason. And Mikey was up very late till 1, 12, 11, 10 o'clock his time last night.
Yeah.
And he needs his sorry sleep. Otherwise, he's very cranky.
I know, he gets cranky.
He gets very cranky. And picture a hangry Klingon. There you go. And
Sundays are my busy days. If I don't get adequate sleep the night before,
yeah, you're toast. Well, it's
And
Kids' Day coming over and everything, right?
Yeah, the kids are usually here on the weekend, so I have them jumping around behind me.
Well,
And
I'm just glad that you
so
guys
it
were
gets a
able
little
to.
crazy.
well, it was funny because it said at one point when Mike and I were trying to do it, Mike said, "Why don't you turn off your computer and turn it back on?" It just made me. So there were 7 updates for Windows, which makes sense since it's basically a new hard drive, right? So that took about what, Mike, 15 minutes?
Probably, yeah.
So after Mike and I signed off and said goodnight and everything, I decided, my start button says, "Hey, look, it needs to do some updates, so let me do that while I get ready for bed." 179 updates.
Oh my god.
Those 7 were just prerequisites.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So it did that while I was asleep, hence my being a little late this morning when I fired her up because
It took a bit.
it took a bit to
I'm
to
thinking, leave me alone.
yeah, that's what it did. But I'm good, so I'm
Right
here.
on.
So we'll see how
Yay.
and he cleaned it. This thing hadn't been cleaned in like a while. It looked like the theater Pee Wee Herman was arrested in.
Ew.
Oh, gross.
Mikey, what did you do this week?
Let's see. When the kids were here, we recorded some more episodes of Lego Adventures of Big Dude, Little Dude. First episode is out. We've got like 3 others in the scheduled for release in the near future. I wrote a little bit, making some progress on a story, and I've been watching a show called Year Million. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah, you actually told me about it this week, but tell everybody else.
Basically, it's kind of like this documentary type show. There's a dramatic portion to it, but it's a documentary type show where they speculate about the far off future, not 1 million years in the future, but something so far off that they cannot really predict when this technology will come to happen, but they're pretty confident that based on research going on right now, that is in our future. And
I'd rather go 1 million years BC because at least Raquel Welch is there.
so
Did you just meow?
He roared.
So the story deals with a particular subject dealing with parallel universes, and there was a couple tidbits. The latest episode actually dealt, for a very small segment, but actually dealt with a topic. So I paid extra close attention. I even had the kids sit down and learn. And I was pausing throughout and explaining, making sure that they understood. Because, parallel universes, it's enough to make anyone's head explode. And here I am explaining it to 9 and 6-year-olds.
That's fun.
But if you can explain it to a child, then obviously you know the topic, correct? Yes? So I tried my best, and I think they left confused. But,
well, then you're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Because if they're confused and if they're curious, then they're going to go find the answer for themselves too.
Yes, hopefully. But but I had learned a couple new things that actually directly helped my story. One was actually a theory on how to actually access a parallel universe, which I thought was interesting. So I kind of finessed that into my story, and a couple other little tidbits here and there. So
fun.
Yeah, it actually was a useful show in a lot of ways. But Year Million, check it out. I think it's on one of the National Geographic type channels.
Cool.
I also saw, and I think Nick would love this show, Glow. It's on Netflix.
I have it marked on my watch list. I've been watching Ken Burns' The War.
Okay. I think it's really good. I really, really liked it.
Did you see the documentary about them?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, watch. If you liked that, then watch the documentary about them. It's I'll try and find the name for you, Mike, so you can watch it. It's such an interesting story. Now, is this like a sitcom?
No, not a sitcom. Our drama.
Or is it more like Orange is the New Black type?
Our drama. And it's everything leading up to the filming and release of the pilot.
Oh, okay. So the formation of the Federation.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm not. I was very very young when Glow was on, but so I'm not sure if they took
Uh,
some liberties with the characters or with the with some of the things. I mean, it's a TV show. You figure that they probably embellish a few things, but
Yeah, but
I,
it was pretty much a shit show in real life too, like
yeah. So
behind the scenes.
they might have changed a few things, some of the character names, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought it was fascinating and very, very. It moved me many, many times. I'll just say.
Really?
Yeah, I was hooked. I was hooked by the story and by the characters, and yeah, I thought it was very well done.
That's interesting.
all right. So you guys
Terry,
are going to
did you?
have to explain to people what it's about
Oh,
because
Glow is the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It was an all-female professional wrestling league in the 80s,
okay. Cool.
and it was neon awesomeness. And it was way over the top. Like, what were some of the names, Terry? Mike, the farmer's daughter was one of them. Just it was crazy.
The
But
director was actually known for creating like porn.
yeah,
and and he kept pitching the show as it's porn but family friendly. And I'm like, oh my god.
Wow.
and it, but not to sell any of these ladies short. I mean, they were athletes and
Oh yeah.
they got
It's like
hurt
how
and all of that.
it's exactly how I feel about lingerie football.
Yes, exactly. It was pro
I was
wrestling,
like,
just all ladies,
is
is what it was.
it objectification? Yeah. Are they women athletes? Definitely. And if they're happy making money doing that, good on them.
And it was very much. We talked last week about the return of the Gong Show.
Yeah.
And that I was upset because the Gong Show is very much a product of its time, when there were only 3 stations that you could watch, and people weren't trying to get on TV just to be on TV like they are now. All of that. Well, Glow was very much a product of its time, of the early mid 80s, the neon Miami Vice aesthetic,
Oh, and the costumes, yeah, were definitely 80 costumes.
yeah, the rise of Vince McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation, which Terry and Mike, I think you were
Yeah.
younger, but you can say if you weren't alive then, that was a money maker. Vince created
Oh yeah.
a huge money maker in the 80s when he took over. So this was their chance to just carve out a little all female. Because females really they were female
They're-
wrestlers were a rare attraction then.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's not the correct term, but it's what it was called. Midget wrestling was. It was looked at in the
Yeah,
same
they
vein.
actually made a reference that very early on in the series that it was that the show wasn't going to make it because it was an oddity. It was one of those things akin to, and they did use that particular term. Not something that you can probably support a full league on. Is kind of like the whole idea that they were talking about, and they did for several years, and it has evolved since then into it hasn't gone away. There's still women's wrestling today, correct?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, the women now are some of the top stars. I told you last week that Charlotte, the wrestler, had one of the longest lines I saw at Amazing Con. I mean, Awesome Con, Amazing Con. What the hell? Awesome Con. They are some of the top stars and top draws. And the athletes today, because a lot of them, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember from the documentary, they were like cheerleaders and stuff that were brought in.
According to the show, a lot of them were actors, stunt people, models. People that were athletic, but not. There was a gold medalist, I think.
Yeah.
So people who are athletic or who had acting experience that with an athletic build that got involved. None of them were actually wrestlers, except one came from a wrestling family.
Luna Vachon, yeah.
In this incarnation, she had a different name, so I think they've changed all the names. But nonetheless, it was I enjoyed it.
Cool.
And So we watched the reboot of The Gong Show.
Oh, and?
I will give you my wife's review of it because I stand 100% behind her review. We're never watching this show again.
Wow. That's a bummer.
So you gonged the Gong Show.
Yeah, it was basically the people that were on were people that go on YouTube now just to do stupid stuff. Terry, I guess the best way to describe it to me, the charm of the original one was the host and his drug-fueled antics. And two, that the people that went on were very unself-aware. They really thought they had talent. Now it's people just trying to be on TV, and there's a big difference.
I actually might enjoy it more than.
I think you'd enjoy Will Arnett as one of the judges because he's awesome.
He's hilarious.
The first episode, it was Will Arnett, Ken Jeong, and Zach Galifianakis were the judges, and they were fun. And Mike Myers, I don't understand what he's doing with this Tommy Maitland thing. It's just very weird. Very weird.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay.
And they had an ad for the new Battle of the Network Stars. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you have Eric Estrada and Ted Lang on there, how long has it been since they've even been on network television?
Is it Battle of the Networks? Is like the 70s stars? That would be funny.
There's some
be like the
stars and
people
some
from
of
the
today.
original show would be hilarious.
Yeah, so you've got like Eric Estrada and Ronda Rousey, which makes no sense.
That doesn't
to
make
me.
sense. But if it was like Dirk Benedict and
There's some of them alongside people from today.
that's because they're trying to pull us in.
Yeah.
That's splitting your market.
As soon as I saw Rob Schneider was on there, I was like, no, I'm not going to be watching.
Yeah, no. Okay. Okay. Well, what did I do this week? I worked. There you have it. We bought a new vacuum because we needed
Like you're living on the edge, woman.
Isn't that exciting? That's exciting shit right there. Actually, it kind of is. You have my two dogs. It's like a new vacuum. We're like, oh, thank God. Okay, well, we do have some links, and there's a couple of topics I want to get to at the beginning of the show before we move on. So, be that as it may.
I have something to say. Announcements!
Mike, you already talked a little bit about the new episode of Big Dude, Little Dude.
Yep.
And people can find that where?
Over on Live Love Play's website, their YouTube channel. I think their Twitch stream page as well. So, and link will be in the show notes.
Cool. Getting Lost in Space, No Place to Hide, Part 1 and 2. This is the newest episode, I believe, in Lost in Space, or Getting Lost in Space at I Live Love Play, or at Live Love Play, where Ross and co-host Mark Cushman go do a deep dive into his new book regarding Lost in Space. He did a wonderful treatment of Lost in Space that he did for Star Trek called These Are the Voyages. So if you want to listen to them talk, and if you are a fan of another great 60s television show, please head over to Live, Love, Play. Also, Gods of Yukon Episode 5, The Plague Doctor, is available on Live, Love, Play. That's a bunch of us doing our end of the world, post-apocalyptic in a different kind of universe and plane RPG over there, and it's pretty fun. And
I forgot a link.
For what?
We played. We also have a link for
the
Star Trek
Adventures.
Adventures.
For Star Trek Adventures, that was also recorded. Very fun, where we all where you heard Nick talk about how suspicious we all were. I'll tell you, that's the problem. If you're gonna have a Star Trek RPG with a bunch of Trekkies, you gotta be aware that we've seen them all. We know every episode, and we're gonna use them against you.
Yeah, which is part of the biggest issue that I had with it.
With some of the canned
stories.
Canned stories.
Were I was like, these are made for the average RPG player, not a diehard Star Trek fan. So,
Sorry, I was pouring coffee, but yes, you are correct, Mike. And it's also a great piece of advice for anybody who's thinking about getting into Modiphius's Star Trek Adventures RPG game. It is a D20 game, but it's kind of a different format. As a matter of fact, you don't want to roll high; you really want to roll under your stats. It's interesting.
yeah.
Is if you're thinking about GMing a game, do yourself a favor and be inspired by the canned stories, and don't be afraid to take your fandom to heart and create your own new adventures. And
That was my advice to Kush.
I think Kush is great. Trust me, Kush is great. And the fact is that we're using canned stories because we're still kind of testing out the game.
Yeah, I thought it was a great chance for us to all see how each other play and get the mechanics down.
And it is a really good way for us to get those mechanics down. Because I can tell you right now, I'm like, okay, what am I rolling again? What? How many? I finally kind of got used to it this game where I was like, okay, how many successes do I need? Okay, I only get 2 dice. How many it's like, I get it. It's finally starting to sink in.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
It is fun. And after every playthrough, Kush and I, we stay after and we kind of go over, we kind of recap and talk about a few things, where the problems were and what worked well and what didn't work well in my personal view. And I had told him honestly, for me, I liked it better last week where he was telling his own story.
Yeah.
Granted, having or not last week, but last time that we had played. Granted, having Will playing Terry's character shoot somebody was a little unusual, and it threw a big monkey wrench into the story, but that also made it really interesting after that. So but I liked the way he tells stories.
He does
in this format.
Yeah, I do too.
Because he also knows us, so he can actually tailor a question direct, or not a question, but a story for our level of knowledge, our strengths, our weaknesses.
Yep.
And for me, it was a better experience overall because of that. And
I just had to laugh because as soon as the character said hello to us, we're all like, why are they saying hello to us?
Yes.
It's just for me,
they're awful friendly for Starfleet.
Yeah, for me it was just like, what do you mean you're leaving and you're using the turbo? Are you an idiot? I mean, my whole thing was like, are you an idiot? But whatever.
And the station has no Jeffries tubes. I mean, come on.
So yeah, that was pretty funny. We had a great time, and I do think it's going to be a fantastic game. Just for you who do not know, yes, there is a true to life real Star Trek RPG roll dice game now. And you have the ability to buy the rule set book now, I believe.
Yeah,
manuals are out.
Yeah, I need to pick it up. I need to save up some nickels.
And yes, Dayton Ward was involved.
Yep.
So congrats to everybody who worked with Modiphius on Star Trek Adventures. It's going to be a hoot.
Uh-oh, you're in trouble. Semantic shenanigans.
Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about this week is something that we touched on last week, and that was with regards to, and while you, at first, please understand, this is Star Trek related, very, very much so, was the article that came out last week that I discussed regarding the motion for summary judgment that came out on the Dr. Seuss Enterprises versus Comic Mix case that was that came out. Last week, I read the article, and it sounded to me as if the motion for summary judgment was granted in full.
Yeah, the article was one-sided, as it turns out. We didn't have all the information.
It did not have all the information. And had I known that, I would have been all up in their shit. But while, to kind of go back real quick, for those who do not know, there was a Kickstarter put out by a group of people, including David Gerald and a couple of others, where they wrote a book or wanted to write a book and were raising money to write this book called Oh, the Places You'll Boldly Go. Essentially, it was a retelling of the places that you'll go by Dr. Seuss. They took all of the characters art style wise straight over and then put them all into Star Trek like uniforms and kind of changed their faces so one looks like a little Spock. And then David Gerald rewrote the poem so it was Star Trek-y, kind of like in a Dr. Seuss art style. Well, Dr. Seuss Enterprises, the people who own the estate of the Dr. Seuss, filed a lawsuit, and here's the differentiation. They filed for the lawsuit for both trademark infringement and copyright infringement. Last week, I reported from the article that the defendants, Comic Mix and David Gerald and everybody who was creating this book, had filed what's called a motion for summary judgment. A motion for summary judgment is essentially a big motion that outlines all of the case law that a judge needs to look at and says, look, judge, here is all of our evidence. Here is all of the case law that supports us. And we believe that there's no triable issue of fact, meaning this case is so clear that it doesn't even need to go to a jury. We're asking you to judge it summarily before it goes to the jury.
Make a decision. Do it now.
Well, yeah. And it's a big process. Well, the motion for summary judgment. Yeah,
Sorry.
Last week I reported their motion for summary judgment was granted. I thought it was done in full, but that's not the case. It was only granted in part, and the part that was granted really is the one that I kind of like. I can't believe they was the trademark infringement portion of the lawsuit. The judge said that under trademark law being different from copyright law, that under trademark law, these items were considered to be fair use, a la they were transformative enough of the trademark to not have to face the lawsuit portion of the trademark. However, the court absolutely did not dismiss and did not rule for the defendants on the copyright issue. So there is still a very, very, very much alive lawsuit with regards to copyright infringement against Comic Mix. Now discovery will continue, and that case will move forward a la the same type of case that CBS had against Axanar. It's a copyright case. It's very, very different from trademark. You do not have to show that you made money off of somebody else's copyrighted material. And copyrighted material is very, very different from trademark material. Trademarks being logos and the other things that are identifiable, but copyright being a far more in-depth protection of the IPs that you own. So it's very important that everybody know that the case is still alive. It is not dead. And while that is out there, so it's something to monitor. It's going to be a very interesting case. And you can, well, that was, there you go. Okay, so so I just wanted to make sure that got clarified. So if you guys want to follow up on what's going on with the Dr. Seuss case, please head over to our sister show, Semantic Shenanigans, and they will touch on it when they can.
Yep.
And that's that. So yay.
You had mentioned
Klingon Empire Travel Guide.
Hold on, you had mentioned Kickstarter, and I wanted to jump down real quick to, I think it's the first item of product news. Yes, the Kickstarter for 3D Doodler. There were some people had some confusion about this.
Well, this is interesting.
3D Doodler is a licensed Star Trek product. Okay, they have a license. They are planning to release a Star Trek 3D Doodler later this year. It's going to be black. It's going to be no frills. this Kickstarter is for a limited edition 3D pin set. So basically, they have colors, red, gold, and blue. There are a total of 2 different sets. The TNG set has some TNG engraving on it. The TOS set has TOS styled engravings on it, but these are also licensed. So this is not like this. This is an actual company producing a licensed product in a limited edition. That's where that's how they're just using Kickstarter to sell the product, their limited edition version of the product. Rather than try to fund and create something new. They're proceeding with the 3D doodler that it will be coming out, as I said, later this year. But there was some confusion about whether or not this was a licensed product or not, and I just wanted to clarify that. So
okay, yeah, that's an interesting use of Kickstarter to actually direct sell your product to somebody.
A limited edition
product, saying only the people who order through Kickstarter get this particular product, but
you'll be able to get a Star Trek 3D doodler later on, but not this particular in this particular style, in these particular styles, in these colors, and with all of these extras. And so I thought it was interesting. And worth noting.
Okay, interesting. I'm kind of taken aback by it, not because it's just a direct sale thing, and that's very clear within the Kickstarter. They're not raising money; they're actually just selling directly the products that they already have. That's quite interesting. Well, on retail sales has a different avenue now. I mean, not surprising that it would turn into such a thing.
I've seen other companies do this as well. They're using Kickstarter to kind of sort of sell specific or limited edition versions of common products, of things that they are planning on releasing, or a limited edition version with all the bells and whistles of something that they already have out. So yeah, it's just a way to, I guess, to spotlight. I guess that's a good way to describe it. A way to spotlight these limited edition products. Be able to reach a larger audience, hopefully, with them that may actually want them.
Yeah. We do have a lot of Star Trek news this week that I really do want to touch on, so let's keep the pace up. Before we get to the Star Trek Discovery news, of which we have a lot this week, I also want to talk briefly about the convention news that's coming up.
Convention news.
Talking about GettyCon, the Ode to Me. The stars that will come out will include Lauren Tweez, Bernie Capel, and of course the great Mindy Cohn.
Oh, are you going on a princess cruise?
God damn it! All meetings will be held on the Lido deck.
There we go. Alan took a princess cruise not too long ago and told me that all of the like the televisions and one of the channels, they actually have a bunch.
Stop it! Don't say it.
She actually works for Princess, and I think it's Mindy. She actually works for Princess, and she's the
Mindy Cohn.
ambassador.
No, Mindy Cohn was. Jill Whelan was
Jill
the
Whelan,
little girl.
the young girl.
Yeah, Jill Whelan.
Yeah.
Why do I know that?
Because it's the Love Boat, dude.
Exciting and new.
That she's like the ambassador for the brand now, and she does a bunch of videos and stuff like that. So
hey, at least she's still making money. I'm not gonna hate on her.
No, and everybody from the show still has a big place in everybody's heart at Princess Cruises. So
it's a steady gig,
No shit, right? Which, by the way, everybody, is much harder than you think.
Just ask any of the original cast crew how hard it was for them to get work after.
Mm-hmm. Iowa City Press Citizen has announced that Trek Fest 33 will take place this weekend, or is taking place this weekend in Riverside, Iowa. The 2-day festival features a Star Trek trivia contest, softball tournaments, a Star Trek costume contest, and the festival's signature event, the Star Trek themed parade throughout the city that began and what happened yesterday on Saturday. If you want to go to next year's festival, check out www.trekfest.org. I love that. I love Iowa. The River City. That's so cute.
Isn't that the birthplace of Kirk?
Birthplace of Kirk.
Okay. Right on.
Star Trek actor Tim Russ is to be a special guest at Lincolnshire.
Former. You can
It's
find
in
our
UK.
interview with Tim Russ from a couple of years ago if you go to our website.
Fun dude. It's taking a while for my thing to load. Lincolnshire.
She said. In England, I'm gathering.
Yes, in the UK.
Geekabilia is the name of the event. Will be held at the Epic Center in Lincolnshire Showground, and that occurs on July 8th, and Tim Russ has been named.
Yep.
Sorry, the autoplay on the ad, and it was hard for me to concentrate.
If you have a website, please, for the love of God, know that it is holy. Don't use
autoplay ads. Smithsonian, when cutting-edge science meets science fiction, it packs the house. What happened here, Mikey?
This is in regards to FutureCon, which was, I believe, a part of AwesomeCon. So basically, it's a summary of what happened, what went down at FutureCon. So it's kind of like a recap of that particular convention, that particular mini convention in a convention. It's rather kind of meta.
Yeah, it sounds like it. The next thing we have on deck is actually kind of funny. We idolize this guy, Armin Shimmerman.
Go, Terry. Greatest Love Boat guest ever.
Dick Gaudier.
No. Look in the chat room.
Okay, hold on. Oh my God. Oh, jeez.
That's from my dimensions. Love Boat. And if people are looking at that and don't know what it is, I'm not going to say it over the air, but if you don't know, those of us that do know are laughing.
Well, back to what I was saying, Armin Shimmerman is going to be a guest at the upcoming Destination Star Trek, which is the official Star Trek convention in Europe. It usually occurs in the UK. Sometimes it heads over to Germany or mainland Europe. This year, it's October 19th through 21st at the NEC Birmingham. And this time, Armin is actually slated to be made up as Quark for the first time in 19 years. He hasn't been in Quark makeup in 19 years. I kind of don't blame him after going through that on a daily basis. But it'll be fun to see if you are in the UK or heading over to Destination Star Trek this year. You'll have the opportunity to see Mr. Shimmerman, quite frankly, relive his character from Deep Space Nine. That's pretty cool. Other guests at the Destination Star Trek that are on board are William Shatner, Linda Park, Max Grodenchik, and Aaron Eisenberg. I wonder if he'll be made up as Nog.
And Max as Rom. It's a family reunion. Oh, that would be totally awesome. That would be worth a photo op.
Oh my God, sure enough. Max Shimmerman, Eisenberg, and Grodenchik will be offering a Ferengi family portrait.
Oh, that is totally cool. Oh, all that is missing is Mookie.
Oh, the Ferrises should have they should fly to. That's really
Jim,
really
Laurie,
fun.
get on that.
Yeah, right. Laurie, get on.
Wow, I mean that is totally awesome though. Talk about a once in a lifetime photo op.
Yeah, that's crazy. And finally, for their 100th guest, Star Trek Las Vegas has announced Dr. Mae Jameson as their most recent guest for Star Trek Las Vegas. Very, very excited for this. For those of you who do not know, Dr. Mae Jameson was featured briefly in an episode of Star Trek where she was like a transporter chief. And it was the episode Second Chances, and she is the first African American woman in space. Very, very cool. I kind of got tingly because it's nice to see
and a notable scientist in her own right.
That exactly, and that they are that Star Trek Las Vegas is hyping it up so well as it should be, and it's not necessarily an actor that it's actually scientists. So that's very cool. All right, now it's back to television news because there's a lot we need to talk about, you guys, and it's already 8:00.
Yeah, a lot's coming out this week.
Grab the remote. Star Trek's on. Television news.
All right. A lot came out this week. First and foremost, we have an actual premiere date for Star Trek Discovery.
Woohoo!
Unbelievable. However, part of that news that came out about the premiere date also gave us information that the 15 episode season is going to be split into 2.
Well, you have to. It's a very short hiatus. It's not like what they do with other shows like Walking Dead and whatnot. Where
Now, is this more like a Christmas hiatus?
Yeah, it's more like the no
For the
they're
holidays.
taking Thanksgiving. It's like the week before Thanksgiving, the week between, so they come back in January. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
a month, 2 months.
The first 8 episodes will run on Sundays between September 24th and November 5th, and the second half will resume in January 2018. So they're taking like 6 weeks off.
And they described it as the second or the next chapter. So it looks like they tell a complete story or a complete section of the first part of the story, the first chapter essentially, in that first half season. And then the second half is another, another chapter in this larger story. So that's kind of cool.
I don't disagree, but again, one of the big problems that we had watching NBC shows was a Christmas hiatus. You've got people at home over the Christmas holidays and available to watch television.
Yeah, that would have been a great time to binge.
Well,
binge
they're
the
not.
First,
They're not
binge
binging,
the
right?
first,
Now they can binge the first 8 episodes. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, it's also what killed V. It's also what killed. What was the other show, Alan, that we watched and we gave up after because it was like, you want me to wait? Fuck no. It was a Brandon Braga show too. The one about the kind of weird time travel-y thing.
Oh.
Fast Forward.
Oh, that's not the one I was thinking about.
I was thinking of Sleepy Hollow.
There was
Sleepy Hollow just got canceled.
Yeah.
There was another Brandon Braga time warpy thingy, a show that I liked that got canceled.
Oh, Flash Forward. That's it. Yeah.
It was a different one. It was not Flash Forward.
Timeless?
No, it wasn't Timeless.
Did Timeless get picked back up? Because I know it was on the cusp.
I don't know. I
And,
heard that there was a lot of people beefing about it, but I don't know if they picked it back up or if it
I
went
want
to
to
a different
congratulate Brandon Braga. You actually have heard that phrase come out of my mouth.
carrier.
It's not a well-known series, and it's on WGN, the superstation out of Chicago. But his show Salem is really good.
Yeah, he tweets about it all the time.
And I just think it's interesting that it's on WGN, which, people talk about like when Netflix and stuff started making their own shows. At TBS, it didn't surprise me because that station is, it's TBS. But when WGN started making original shows, but I think Salem is now on Netflix, the first season or 2 or whatever. So that's I think a big help for them. And Mr. Braga is he's doing very well, and I'm happy for him.
I am very happy for him as well.
I said Mr. Braga.
One of the other things that came out was Sonequa Martin Green people are saying, broke her silence. Oh, she finally got to talk like 2 sentences about her character.
I know.
And
There's a little bit more than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's still not very much.
But it's still not a lot, right? All she says is that she's the first officer on the USS Shenzhou, and that is captained by Philippa Georgiou, who is played by the amazing Michelle Yeoh. We know that. I have an inner war, and it's a journey of self-discovery and finding out what it means to be alive, to be human, to be a Starfleet officer, and what it means to be a hero. The producers searched long and hard to find an actor who could pull off Burnham's divided nature. We read a lot of people, and they either went way too robotic or chilly, or were way too emotional, says Aaron Harberts, who serves as a showrunner on the series along with Gretchen Berg. What's beautiful about Soneqa's performance is that she's capable of playing 2, 3, 4 things at once. She's got such a great command of her craft, and she's able to be aloof but warm, logical but able to surrender her emotional side to the audience. So I think that lends a lot of credence to the idea that her character was raised on Vulcan.
Well, Martin Green adds later, I have a Vulcan conflict in my life from Sarek and Amanda, so there's always going to be that inner conflict with me. But I think it's relatable because we have some kind of inner conflict going on, who we are versus who we present ourselves to be. There's a lot to be discovered.
It's an interesting thing. I'm really looking forward to hearing more. One of the other things that came out this week were a couple of new photo stills from the show. One of them was of the new Captain Lorca with Jason Isaacs, who I freaking idolize. I just love him. Yeah. And what came out of his picture really was there's a fuzzy background. Every Star Trek nerd is like, oh my God, what about the bridge? What about the bridge? What about the bridge? I'm like, I don't fucking care about the bridge. I just want to make sure that they're good characters, all right? But one of the cool things that did come out of it, and I have to give a lot of kudos to our autoplays, but to our very good friend Aaron Harvey over at Trek News and from wonderful podcasts where he podcasts about Saturday morning cartoons and Star Trek Saturday morning cartoons. It's just so awesome. He did this amazing breakdown of the new Star Trek Discovery uniforms that he got just from looking at the stills that have come out. It's pretty freaking amazing. But
the infographic, right? Is that
the infographic is unbelievable. Aaron, you outdid yourself. It's just freaking amazing. He does an absolute breakdown of each uniform and what it means, what what the ranks are and everything like that. But one of the things that everybody in the cosplay world is flipping out about right now is this kind of vinyl or rubberized or, fused in detail of the pattern on the side of the Starfleet uniform, which is replete with tiny little Star Trek deltas. It is going to be hey everybody, it's going to be a bitch if you want to cosplay this. I'm just telling you right now, this is hard. Teeny tiny little Starfleet deltas all throughout the little mesh portion of the uniform. I think the uniforms are freaking amazing, and I can't wait to get to my first convention where people start showing up in these things because I think they look great. Very, very cool. I like the boots. I like everything about them I think are freaking awesome. And but they're going to be a bitch to make. If you want it to be screen accurate, good luck on that. And I have a feeling that Anovos is already champing at the bit to get these out. The other still that came out, and I really wanted to get your takes on this. Did you guys both see the photo of what looks to be the new or the transporter room of the Shenzhou?
I did.
I don't believe for a second it's the Shenzhou's transporter room.
Why wouldn't it be?
Just because they have got the various characters at the controls. I believe it's and I had seen other people who think this as well, that it's my initial thought was perhaps a cargo bay, but no, the Klingon sarcophagus ship makes more sense. I think design wise, it kind of the colors and a few other little details kind of lend more to that ship's aesthetic than it does the Shenzhou from what we had seen.
That's an interesting take. Nick?
I don't know. I'm not even digging that far into it. I just want to watch it as it unfolds and like it or be sad that it's not good. I am not...
I have nothing to complain about here, just so you guys know. I think it looks fucking awesome.
I think all the set designs and everything that I've seen so far are wonderful. And I have one minor complaint about the uniform. I don't like where the rank is on the Delta, but that's just me. Because it's hard to see. That's the only reason. But that's so minor and nitpicky that it's just... But no, it's just, I just want it to be a good story. That's it. I don't know. I'm just, you know.
Snowman Frost
I know.
makes an interesting comment about the
No,
transporter room.
go ahead.
I that was also one of my initial thoughts when I first saw it. Is like it looks more like something out of H.G. Wells than it does the Time Machine, rather than than Star Trek. But after considering it and looking at some of the sarcophagus ship details, I think that's where it's at. But okay.
We'll find out. The word on the street is these are the transporters from the Shenzhou. Again, this is all prior to TOS because now they can play around with what's the supposed technology between Enterprise and the original series. Just have fun with it, folks. It's art design. It's design. This is made for a 2017 audience, not a 1966
And if
audience.
I see one more person bitching, whining, and well, it must be another timeline because look at the Klingons they've shown us. Well, then by your rationale, then everything from the motion picture afterwards is an alternate timeline because the Klingons don't look the same as in the original series.
Right.
So
Exactly.
get over yourselves.
Just get over it.
Shut your faces. Just watch and enjoy it. Christ. Bunch of whining little snots.
And what else did we have?
It doesn't have the thing that I like, and that's the only thing that I like, and I know what I want because I'm a fan.
We did get a nice picture of Jason Isaacs as Captain Lorca. It's kind of nice. I think some people were surprised he wasn't an alien because we did have that picture of him getting a full head cast in special effects, but now we know that's for other special effects. And it's a still. It's him. It's him in a chair. It's him in a chair in his uniform. That's kind of it, folks. Not a lot to talk about. And the big news that came out this week was that the writers have come out and have said that they've done away with the old Roddenberry rule that there will be no conflict between officers on a Starfleet vessel.
Well, they're breaking canon. It's going to suck. It's going to suck. The show's going to be terrible. It's going to be nothing but Dynasty and Falcon Crest. And how could they do that? That's not what Gene wanted.
Well, I will admit, I always will give writers some shit for this, and that is, I will always give writers some shit for this. Just say it, Terry, and that is, okay, yeah, I get that it's a lot easier to write for conflict. It is. It's just easier to write for conflict. So when you were given a challenge that you needed to write some other kind of conflict, you found that too hard. Be that as it may, it doesn't mean the show's going to suck. It means that we're going to get some great interpersonal drama between officers, between people on the ship, and show it to be a little bit more realistic as to human interaction, regardless of what time in the future. Yes, I do believe that humanity can improve itself, but I don't think that humanity is going to be so perfect as not that there won't be some conflict. Shit. I mean, hell, they couldn't even write a married couple right. So let's just deal with it.
An interesting quote, a couple interesting quotes from the article. People have to make mistakes. Mistakes are still going to be made in the future. We're still going to argue in the future. The rules of Starfleet are going to remain the same, but while we're human or alien in various ways, none of us are perfect. The thing we're taking from Roddenberry is how we solve those conflicts. So do we have our characters in conflict? So we do have our characters in conflict. We do have them struggling with each other, but it's how they find a solution and work through their problems.
Well, and that's something Enterprise actually did. I mean, it's not like this is the first crew that's going to have tension. I mean, T'Pol, Trip, and Archer, she was always challenging them, and it got heated, and, Malcolm and Hayes and all of that. So it's not like this is a first.
It isn't. And a lot of it started after almost immediately after Gene's death.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. It's TNG.
Michael Piller and Braga and Berman all. And then, Ronald D. Moore and Ira Behr brought that much more to the fore with their stuff.
I agree. I thoroughly agree. I mean, we never saw any imperfection in characters in TNG until after Gene died. And as much as I can appreciate Gene's idea of,
Which
people
also was
being
a
beyond that, huh?
which was a retroactive idea because the whole Spock McCoy dynamic was based on their
Oh
rubbing
yeah.
against each other.
Yeah,
so
but
to
he
speak.
changed after TOS too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was the great
Yeah.
rebooting of what he thought the show was.
Yeah. And so after he passed away, we started to see some of those imperfections creep in, and it made the characters much more rich and inviting to watch. So I agree. I think that the idea that we're actually going to get a great drama is fantastic. I'm very excited about this. I just don't appreciate the idea that I didn't appreciate some of the things that had been said by some people. By the way, none of the writers that we know said this, but more like amateur writers or fans that came out and said, well, it's Gene's too perfect, right? Nick, you're the same thing, and saying that people would say it's impossible to write without conflict, and I would say yes, you are correct. But like Mike said, it's more about how those conflicts are resolved. If the conflicts are resolved in the way that the rest of television is right now, then it's just going to be another show. It doesn't matter if it's Star Trek or not. It's how those writers take those conflicts and give inspiration to those of us who need to learn conflict resolution. I think that's where I hope they go.
Yeah,
So, yes.
It's about the only character who never won an argument was Worf. That great mashup. Here we go again. It just, I don't know. It's just people just.
But somebody in the chat room has already said, well, what about Kirk? He was anything but perfection. Exactly. That's why we said Gene changed in the 20 years between TOS and TNG. What he wanted Star Trek to be changed between TOS and TNG. So TNG had very, very strict rules about what could and couldn't be written about.
Yeah, he became far more utopian after it went off the air. And really, people just need to, I don't know. I think people put too much stock. Remember, for being consistently voted the best Star Trek movie, Gene didn't like Star Trek 2. So just think about that.
Yeah, no, he and that's a shame.
I mean, and I understand his view. It was his child, and after the motion picture, the studio very gently pushed him up because they wanted a little something different, and I understand where his hurt came from and all of that, and I don't blame him one bit. Don't think that I don't. Star Trek was his, but we get into this thing, art versus commerce. If they're going to spend millions of dollars to put something out there, they kind of want a return on their investment too.
Yeah. It's always a balance between risk and art.
And unlike Keith DeCanado, I still very much like the motion picture.
And Undiscovered Country. God, he railed on that one this week too.
I haven't read that one yet, and I was hurt. I was flabbergasted, and I was wounded when I read that when he said he didn't like Star Trek 6, and he talked about that later. So I'm looking forward to reading that because we really. Yeah. His reviews of the movies have you been reading them, Terry?
Oh my God, he's been scathing.
And then my favorite thing is to go down and read Christopher L. Bennett's rebuttals. I love watching those two. Those two are like they are Star Trek pundits that I could just watch go back and forth all day long, especially knowing how Keith is and how Christopher L. Bennett is with the way they speak and everything. It would make a great TV show.
I don't disagree with and two very, very different personalities and take on life even.
But like Keith talks about the in the motion picture, the flyby sequence. Somehow, I don't understand how he's not getting. He said it was boring then. No, it totally was not. This was the biggest moment in Trek, seeing the new ship.
See, but he's just not a ship guy, right?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and yeah.
So
What? There's no.
what?
I care what I love about Trek. Also visually, there's no such things in these photos and there's nothing good visually.
For him.
Does he just live to like find things to complain about?
Well, yeah, he's a Star Trek fan. I have to admit, it took me every iteration of Star Trek. There is a built-in kind of kind of a training period, kind of a, you know what I mean, kind of a getting used to it period of looking at everything
Period
and then
of
kind
adjustment?
of an adjustment period.
A calibration.
I'm the one that's Skyping.
Yeah. What was that?
A calibration.
Yeah, but what Mike said?
Oh. Mikey?
Mikey, are you there?
It's regular one.
I was Skyping. Really bad. I think I'm back.
Okay. Welcome back. But yeah, every single one of them had an adjustment period for me.
You want to hear something really funny, Terry?
What's that?
Deep Space Nine didn't for me from the beginning.
I didn't watch Deep Space Nine.
And I'll tell you why. I think it was because it was on a station and it wasn't a ship. So
it wasn't even Starfleet station.
Yeah, so maybe that was why it was easier to. I wasn't looking at the ship and thinking, oh, this and that. You know what I mean?
I mean, but a lot of DS9's aesthetic was taken, or what Starfleet we did see was taken directly from TNG. So you had that built in, that adjustment already built into like uniforms and other visual aspects. And all you had to get used to, and like you said, because it was an alien space station, you were able to suspend that portion of belief because you didn't have to. Okay, how different is the Starfleet stuff? Well, the Starfleet stuff has already been established, you know.
Right.
The only thing you had to get used to was the alien stuff, and because it was that alien stuff, it's
easier to
believe
it, to wrap your head around than if it was a whole new Starfleet ship with, you know. And I didn't have that big. I think my biggest problem with Voyager was, I loved the ship, and I'm talking visually here, Terry. I just thought the bridge was a little too big, but that's a common Star Trek thing.
I had a problem with the bridge for a completely stupid reason, but that's still one that
because they sat on opposite sides.
Fucking A.
Yep. Yeah.
I still hate that bridge. She's the fucking captain. She should get the center chair. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. It made no sense to me as to why she had to sit on a man's side as opposed to sitting in the center chair.
Well, I guess the only thing that I can say is the lead pilot on a helicopter sits on the right side.
I know.
That's the only thing. But I like the fact. I don't know. It was just a weird.
It was weird. It was just weird.
I didn't look at it like she was.
Let's put it this way. It doesn't surprise me. It was just an extremely odd choice at a time when women finally got representation as a captain in the show. For me to look at it and kind of go, really?
Here's two things that bother me.
I understand that, but I was kind of viewing it as being, and it was weird in the fact that here was the captain and the first officer side by side, almost on equal ground.
Yeah.
And when obviously the captain should have been above him or whatnot, but for me that's. I kind of looked at it as equality rather than. But
here were my issues with the layout: the space between the con and the command team, like 4 strides. That's it's just too much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there was a lot of empty
living
space.
Roomy.
There was room to lay down, stretch.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there was on TNG as well.
And the other thing is, and TNG had this, but not near as much as Voyager. Let's just say that it's 3 shifts per crew rotation. Standing, Tuvok and Kim and the people standing for 8 hours at a time. I just don't get that. It's not
like,
healthy.
Yes. Why don't people have chairs? At least in TOS, your officers sat down at their cons.
Yeah, and I never understood why Worf, well, before that, Tasha, were standing behind them like
So
that, where they could be thrown over onto the captain at any moment.
okay, so here's the thing. One thing that Alan and I have had experience now seeing and being around is actually getting onto the bridges of actual naval vessels or ships, right? So we've been on cruise ships before. And
People would be shocked how cramped it is.
No. Oh God, no.
On the
Oh
Navy.
God, no. No.
In the Navy, it is.
Oh well, yeah, but everything's designed for
Efficiency.
Well, not that the naval ships aren't anywhere near as big as these fuckers, right?
Have you ever been seen an aircraft carrier?
Yeah, and I can tell you right now that the goddamn Oasis of the Seas bigger.
Did you know that a submarine,
I'm just saying, as far as height-wise is concerned, naval vessels, especially military naval vessels, are built for efficiency, where cruise ships are built for fucking cruising, right?
Well, what should a Starfleet ship be built for then?
Okay, both, because you're dealing with both military, paramilitary, and scientific civilians on board. So that's one thing that's never gonna, in my opinion, is really gonna be changing. Is it's mostly for scientific research. You're out there for science. Just happens to be defense is your secondary issue if you're an exploratory vessel. However, I believe that there are defense vessels, which we all know have been written about, especially in the books, right? Where the escorts are built, they're lean, mean, efficient, small, and they're all guns, low personal space, right? I still think that's the way it's going to be. But I think an exploratory vessel is going to be a mix of the both. I think that they're going to be I think they're going to be big. But cruise ship bridges are huge. But they take a lot of, I think Star Trek actually inspired the design of how an actual ship bridge looks now. When you go there, there's one big fucking center chair. That's where the captains sit. There is a big panel in front of them. People stand at those panels. They do not sit. If you want to sit, there's a table, and they have a conference table with chairs. People don't stand at those consoles all the time, but they definitely have the ability to move back and forth. There are two consoles on either side of the vessel, so that way they can dock on either side, and there are controls. What's truly amazing is that to steer the ship, it's a 4-inch tall joystick, just like Riker had. It's actually smaller than that. It's a little knob with a little...
It always comes back to Riker's joystick. If you want to move the ship,
you fucking turn the joystick, man. It's fucking unbelievable. This huge, 170,000 gross ton ship being so cool. But it's very, very true. There are no chairs at those consoles. That they are standing a lot while they're on duty.
I just don't want my crew to miss an important scan because they're massaging a leg cramp.
Well, that's true. It's not like on a starship you have to be standing in front of a view screen with binoculars looking out on the horizon.
I'm just saying, I don't want them to miss that that anomaly because they had a knot in their calf.
Someone is always stationed at Inton Forward.
yeah, with binoculars.
The Obs Lounge, looking back where they were, seeing if there's anything funky going on in the back.
That's funny.
Oh, too great. But yeah, when it comes to ship design, I think that, hey, when it comes to art...
That's why I liked Enterprise. It felt real.
I loved Enterprise. Oh my God, I loved Enterprise.
It was compact. I mean,
it felt like a submarine, like it should.
One thing, it's still a little big, but it has to be for filming purposes. I mean,
you have
that I understand. Yeah. But it was far more compact than any bridge we had seen before.
And it made sense. And they all sat down.
Yeah. It was akin to the Defiance Bridge.
Yeah. And they also had their briefing table in the back.
Yep.
Instead of, and the only time they went into the captain's quarters was really when he wanted just a one-on-one with somebody, or at the most two.
You know what I loved about his office too?
How everything had, it was bolted down, kind of.
And the beams, you could actually see the beams from the structure, and he kind of had to duck around one of them. Yeah. I just loved that idea.
But what I'm talking about is where his books were. there was the bar in front
Yeah.
of it to
Yeah.
keep them from sliding off.
Yep, exactly. Even in his room, even in everybody's room, they had like a little bookshelf with a little bar around it.
Yeah.
I mean, got it. Even the first episode when the gravity went out and they all had.
Yeah. It was very.
I loved Enterprise, you guys. I just did. I loved
I
it.
loved the NX. I really did. I loved the whole the feel of it, the layout of it. The transporter was off a hallway. It wasn't even in its own room.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because it was a cargo thing, right?
And it was brand new.
And it was actually probably centrally located to the 3 or 4 cargo bays that they had. So you wanted to bring in the cargo and then have it efficiently be able to get you from there to the rooms that you needed to store shit in. And because assumedly it took a lot of power, you could only have one of them. So you put it in a central location. I loved Enterprise.
Now, Mikey, speaking of bridge layouts, the Klingon layouts, did you notice the changes in them through the movies, the original movies, and then into TNG? I mean, it stayed kind of the same, but there were also some tweaks. And now see, what's funny is there were way more Klingons sitting than I ever thought there would be. See, if anybody I thought would be standing the entire time, it would be the Klingons. Chairs are extraneous.
Well, I think that chairs are part of a more compact design. I mean, if there's not a lot of room to, for instance, we've seen more birds of prey than we've seen some of the larger ships. But obviously the larger ships have a larger bridge. But
thank you, Alan. That's me on the bridge of a ship.
Oh wow, that's huge.
It's like the Enterprise D.
See?
But I think for
How do you mean chairs are more compact? It takes up less space to not have chairs.
True, but I think that let me back up, and I'm rethinking this. So actually, I think chairs are because the crew is smaller. On say a bird of prey, you've got 8 or 9 people. Those people are going to be on the bridge almost all the time. So standing 16 hours a day would be very uncomfortable. So I think that's why there are chairs on.
Do you think Klingons care about comfort? Remember the bed that Picard had to sleep on when Data was staring? Matter of fact, that was one thing that Kern talked about, was how comfortable Federation ships were.
I always thought that was a disservice to Klingons. Maybe they just like hard surfaces for their back. I mean, they've got that spine, right? That's the only thing they can't regrow.
And if you remember the original Romulan ship, everybody was standing around that center kind of beam that all the stations were around.
See, Gorgonops in the chat room says Klingons battle. In a chair, you stay at the station. I think that's exactly right.
They probably actually have seatbelts too.
How many times did Starfleet crews get thrown out of their chairs because they didn't have seatbelts?
Klingons may actually have seatbelts too.
It's easier to hold on if you've got the railings on a console to hold on to those.
See, that's cool too. Put a little railing right in the front, like a grab bar. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, so smart.
Oh shit handles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Oh shit handles.
Because remember, in oh my God, how can I be blanking on the episode name? The first one with the Romulans.
In TOS?
Yeah.
The Enterprise incident?
No, that was 3rd season. I'm talking about the first season one with Mark Leonard. Oh my God. I keep thinking of The Enemy Below, which is the movie it was based on, the submarine movie.
It's okay. I'm spacing on it too, but I know which one you're talking about.
But remember,
you're talking about the sub-battle one, right?
Balance of Terror. Thank you. Balance of Terror. Remember the setup of the bird of prey? The Centurion and the commander roamed around, and they were all standing in the center, and there was a couple off on the outside walls, but nobody was sitting. But the crew was all standing there in the center, and all the stations were right there.
Yeah, it
was very compact,
and also inspired how the rest of the Romulan ships looked throughout the rest of the show.
Yes, there
was always a center panel surrounded by a couple of peripherals, but there was always that center command panel. And I think that's again an art direction thing that showed that different
different species.
Yeah,
had
different
their-
species are going to set up their commands different ways.
Yeah.
A recent trend in office design is the idea of the converting the standing desk. You know, where you can
That's what I have.
swing
I
up
have a
and down.
sit-stand desk.
Yeah,
It goes up and down.
Oh,
Yeah,
neat.
I think that is probably what the future
Well,
in bridge
I'm hope-
design is going to feature.
and I also hope to see, at least the one thing I would like to see too is going to be multi-species ergonomics, right? Not everybody's going to be able to sit, especially if they got tails.
Well, the Federation is well known as a Homo sapiens only organization.
I know, right? So true.
I loved her. I loved her.
The Zindi, they kind of, their chairs were like back. The back was in the front. They kind of like leaned into them, right? So it allowed. their
Oh, that's
back end
right.
to kind
I
of like hang
forgot
out in
about that,
space.
Mike.
So
I totally forgot about that.
So I think chairs would be designed in such a way where you would just turn them around based on species.
What your needs were.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what about somebody like Ree?
Well, that's the thing.
I think
'Cause
if
didn't
you
they-
rotate the chair so that the back is now in the front, and you kind of like and Ree could like squat and lean.
Especially with
forward.
those big old back legs.
Didn't they
it
say
would
in the
work for 'em.
books that don't they have specially designed chairs for the
They have specially designed chairs and specially designed uniforms for their character, for all of their.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
and
like some of their knees bend backwards
They have
compared
knees
to
or tails,
ours,
or
and-
they don't have, you know.
Yeah.
They have specially designed stools that they can sit on. And
Starfleet OSHA would govern all of these.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
there's a show for you. We're talking about Starfleet NCIS and Starfleet Medical and Starfleet JAG. Now we've got Starfleet OSHA.
Oh
And
god.
I swear they have to be red shirts because they and they must be like the first one to die on every mission because obviously they can't implement any changes quickly.
Well, it's
Never
interesting.
got a chance to file that report about seatbelts, for instance.
Go ahead, Nick.
What the hell was I? Oh shoot. I was watching something and it brought up. Oh, I know. In Take Me Out to the Holosuite, the Vulcan captain shows up with his ship, and it's an all Vulcan
Yeah.
crew.
Which made me roll my eyes. It always
Okay,
annoyed
I was
me.
just gonna say, do you think that they would still have all one species crew?
I don't think Starfleet would have allowed it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't see it, especially by that time. There's no way.
But isn't it captain's prerogative to select his entire crew, though?
To the point of discrimination against others?
Idic.
I don't think it
Idic,
would have been
Idic.
fair, but yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't think it would have been allowed. And I don't think a Vulcan would have done it. I really don't.
Well, remember that guy was a tool.
He was an asshole anyway. Yeah. It was to me that was a flaw in the writing. It was a cheap way to
I would have just made
was-
his
it was
senior
just
staff all Vulcan. That his
now
seniors,
that maybe.
or he just all the Vulcans on the
considering
ship.
how I mean
We're playing as a thing for Vulcan team building or something. You know what I'm getting at. But to have the entire crew of that ship be Vulcan just struck me. And if I remember in the original series,
Do we know what
Wasn't-
kind of ship it was?
it was the Nebula class.
it was a Nebula class. Yeah.
So
It was science.
So it had the Enterprise D saucer on a smaller.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Still,
it's
that's a lot
it's a
of people.
big ass ship full of Vulcans only. That's still
Quietest
kind of
ship
made me.
in-
Yeah, that's bullshit. I never
Quiet.
bought that.
Quietest ship in the fleet, I'll tell you that.
I
But
I
every
thought
so
you
many
could
years-
have come up with something interesting.
But I think it would have
been-
had. I think all Vulcan ship also would have been the more. Would have had a higher chance of experiencing fire with all of the meditation candles going.
Starfleet OSHA. I'm just
Starfleet
telling you,
OSHA.
that would have been a great topic for a Starfleet OSHA. Oh God, that's gonna be the name of the fucking episode, isn't it?
Maybe.
Starfleet
Starfleet
OSHA.
OSHA.
Like you get some guy running around going, "Put out your candles."
I noticed that this console is a centimeter higher than is recommended. And you really, yeah, if you could have that fixed, I'd really appreciate
It's like, what happens if you get carpal tunnel in your tentacles?
Yeah, I noticed that the pool.
Safety glasses. Why aren't you wearing your safety glasses?
Oh, God. We have this woman that comes through
Hard
like
hat area.
twice a year.
Yeah,
She's
we
the
know.
ergonomics person.
Uh-huh.
And it's great that she does that. But, I'm trying to do my job. I don't
You're
care that I don't have a
slouching.
footrest.
Don't slouch.
Yeah.
That's for-
I have to say I love my footrest.
She yelled at me in my old office because we were in the process of getting things replaced. So I was sitting on a metal folding chair, and she had a cow. I was like, the office is being rebuilt. We had a flood in here. Go lay down somewhere. Have a Xanax.
Go take a Xanax and come back later.
That's it. Back to space, Doc.
Oh, too funny. Too true. Oh, God. Okay, so do we have anything else before we kind of wrap things up? I love that idea. I really do. It's a Starfleet OSHA. I was just going to have some guy in like a bright orange jumpsuit.
Walking around with the clipboard.
Yeah, he's got a hard hat and glasses, and everybody's just looking at him
Everybody
like,
else
what's
is
wrong
like,
with
oh,
you?
God, he's back.
He's
like,
got his little
"Yeah."
pad. He's typing away furiously.
Can you imagine Worf looking at him like, do you mind? I just really want to do my job.
I will kill you. Okay, Mr. Worf section is good to go. Let me move on.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and order you a new standing mat. Extra thick. Because obviously you're very cranky.
Oh my God,
Counselor?
too funny.
Counselor, how do you feel after hours of sitting in your seat on the bridge? Pain.
Because you're always. Would it surprise you that you have violated OSHA regulation 9 times? Surprise the hell out of me. Too funny.
Well, why do you think they had to redesign the chairs on the bridge of the Enterprise D? Remember, they were almost laying down in the first season.
Yeah, they were
They were like way too comfortable.
way back. Oh, too funny.
Hard
It was a
about.
safety issue. They couldn't reach they had to lean forward every time they wanted to hit, the jump to warp 9. That was bad for your posture.
Mr. LaForge, hard about starboard.
I can't reach.
Has your
I
crew
thought it
been
was more of
trained
a
on
reach
Jeffrey's
issue,
tube
but
safety?
yeah.
Let me see your logs. Did you lose lockout, tag out before working on the warp drive?
Yeah, I noticed that your crew hasn't done their quarterly training on plasma conductivity, and we really need to get that done. We've been in a war with the Dominion on the run for 6 months. Yeah, but this is regulation.
It's like Picard turns around. Where's Commander Riker? Oh, well, he forgot to take his last test. He had to go back to Earth for certification.
For recertification every 6 months.
Sir, Starfleet OSHA is sending one of their men on board. Mr. Barclay to the bridge. You are a liaison with Starfleet OSHA.
Oh my God! Could you imagine Barclay being the liaison to OSHA?
Oh my gosh. Everything would fail.
Yeah, we were gonna. They were getting the parts next Tuesday.
It's like he takes him directly to the holodeck.
Yeah. Oh, all the breakdowns of holodecks they had. It's
Oh
an
my God,
OSHA
could you imagine?
disaster.
Oh my god.
The OSHA guy coming in there and look, how many times have the safety levers been removed, or the safety, been removed from the programs?
From programs. You need better security. How's your passwords?
There's a sign taped over the control panel for the do not use out of order. People writing nasty shit on it.
There's inadequate signage in this level.
There we go. The exit signs are not properly located. Locate your exit buddy. Do you have an exit buddy?
Welcome to the G&T show, new listeners. This is what we do.
Dean Sherman in the chat room says, "Oh, I am so filing a report on this."
Boy, you talk about being able to get your supervisor in trouble easily. Oh, really, Mr. LaForge? You want to yell at me? Visor unsafe. Can be tapped into.
And that's the whole thing. I'm still trying to figure out why there's no seatbelt. After all of this, we're like, okay, it's just because it's easier to get up.
Or
because
or
there is
circuit
no
breakers.
Starfleet or OSHA. That is why.
Or circuit breakers.
Or circuit breakers. Who the fuck doesn't have a fuse? Come on.
Because
why
there
don't
is
they
no
just-
Starfleet OSHA. I blame the Tellarites.
Hey,
They argued
That's
a little
uncalled
too
for.
effectively.
For those who do not know, Nick's character in our Star Trek RPG is Tellarite.
my name is Jerv.
Jerv is awesome, and I love the fact that you and
An
the first
Andorian.
officer kind of had to knock each other around a little bit. It's pretty fun.
Great, there's an Andorian.
Oh God. Okay, let's. Do we have any announcements before we wrap this show up?
Oh, geez, do we have something from Ross?
Sure do.
I have something to say. Announcements.
Do you have your ex?
Hey guys, Ross here from Live Love Play with a new content update. On liveloveplay.com you'll find an introduction to the LEGO adventures of Big Dude and Lil Dude, a Let's Play series in LEGO Dimensions featuring our own Mike as Big Dude. New episodes will be published weekly on YouTube and Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, twitch.tv/subsailor688, the site recently released its brand new vodcast, video on demand broadcast feature. Channels are now able to broadcast recorded video in sequence. So in addition to my regular live streams every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, you can expect a few random vodcasts from my ever-growing library of videos. Gods of Yukon Episode 6, Scheduled to Die, is live to the public on YouTube and Twitch, with Episode 7, Fear the Wretched, released first for my Patreon. Getting Lost in Space, Episode 1 and 2 are now available to the public on Twitch and VidMe and Mixcloud. A new episode's coming soon, and if you want to see it first, pledge on Patreon today. Look me up on social media, never miss a post. Thank you for listening, and a special thanks to the host of the G&T Show for your patronage and support. This is Ross saying thanks again, and until next time, remember to live, to love, and to play every day.
Every day.
Do it.
Do it.
Thank you, Ross.
I said do it.
Do it.
And do it.
Do it.
And thank you. And also, don't forget, everybody, to listen to all of our Busy Little Beaver productions, not just the G&T Show and Live, Love, Play, but also Semantic Shenanigans and all of the other things. You can head over to Busy Little Beaver or blbproductions.com to see what else we've got going on.
I wrote a
did.
review for the Klingon Empire Travel Guide from Hidden Universe and Dayton Ward. That is on the G&T Show's website. So check that out. I loved this book.
It looked
It was
really fun. I've got to go
shocker.
get it. Yeah,
It was
shocker.
awesome. Not just because it was Klingon, but I mean, just the way that it was written. I mean, it was.
Go ahead, Mike. He's just ignore him.
When I was reading it, I tried to imagine like I was a tourist and I was visiting whatever city I was in, and if I wanted a restaurant, that's the section I read, and I was like, oh, okay, and I found it very interesting, you know, and whatnot. So,
Mike threw a whatnot in there.
I love a whatnot.
it was imaginative, and he was able to include a lot of history and a lot of stuff that
Mike,
filled in
were
a
there
lot of
Klingon
blanks.
amusement parks?
Actually, there is opening next year is a battle cruiser Vengeance style experience.
That's funny.
That's funny. That's awesome. What a kick for Dayton to be
That
able
was-
to do.
that was-
That's just
Yeah,
great.
a lot of fun. And so check it out. It's going to be, I think,
shit.
released in like the next 5 days or so on the end of
Forgot
this
to
month.
check into my flight. God damn it. Sorry, I looked at the clock and I went, fuck. All right.
And what airline are we flying this time?
Southwest.
Of course.
Up. Okay. Sorry, Mikey. My brain just did I just
So
had a brain fart.
You want to hear
But
something
it's
fun? I
awesome.
just realized.
What?
Since I had to do all that with my computer, guess who needs to re-download Star Trek Online?
Oh, sucky. You know what though? I had very little to complain about in my last with my new computer.
Right.
Mike, how many games was I able to download simultaneously?
And in record time.
It was ridiculously fast. I downloaded 4 games at the same time, and it took like 2 hours.
Oh, that's not bad. So
No.
I figured if I put Stowe on and then go to bed, I'll be more than fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's seriously what I was thinking of doing.
That's probably the best way to do it. Just make sure that you don't have the that your hibernation is set right, because if it's downloading, believe it or not, your computer will still turn off.
Oh, mine doesn't turn off. It just turns off the screen.
Okay.
And if I move the mouse, the screen comes back on.
Cool.
Yeah.
And not quite sure how it may work yet, but I am tossing around the idea of doing a game stream, once a month or so. And I'm taking votes on which game you want me to stream. Star Trek Online, Lord of the Rings Online, or Neverwinter. So follow me on Twitter at Terry Lynn S. That's TerryLynns as in Sam. And let me know what you would like to see. If I do Lotro, I'm going to be rolling a new character, and I'll probably wait for the new expansion to come out, just so you guys know. That's because they are creating a new class, a new race in the game, and that's High Elf, and I'll probably roll a new High Elf then. That's kind of it for now. Until then. Next week, I will be in. Will you be in?
I should be here.
July 2nd already. So that's and I have to work on the 3rd. So yeah, I'll be here. And that'll be episode 285. Oh my God. We're pushing 300, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Until next week in episode 285, live long and prosper.
Kapla.
Jolan True paternity suit losers. I don't know. I got nothing. Jolan True twat waffles. GNT 284.
Music for the GNT show is provided by 5-Year Mission, Enterprise Blues Band, Warp 11, Andrew Allen, and Greth Thor. The GNT show is a BLB production.
Move ahead, walk back to 10. Put a mini skirt on my yo man. Represent the human race. And we make space a happy place. To boldly go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Gonna travel to new worlds. Beam on down and meet some green girls. Gonna see what we can see. A fancy-free galaxy. To boldly go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Come and take a tour with me. There'll be no cons or Kobe.